Now we will go on with the last part of this plenary session dedicated to the quality teams. And so I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Grego and Dr. Simonetta Ingrosso, which will introduce to the audience the FAD certification scheme of the CertiW Society.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since it's after 12 o'clock, it's the afternoon. I know it's been a long morning, but please give me your attention for your next half hour for this presentation. I would like to thank Unimarconi for this invitation. I'm here to present the FAD Drive certification, which in my behalf, I've been responsible for the schema for this certification, and I represent here CertiW, which is the inspection and certification body, which has developed and will inspect the schema. This standard is a registered international standard, so we're talking about something that we have applied, and I will go into the details of the presentation. In summary, I'll give you a brief presentation of CertiW, and I'll give you the basis on which standard was developed, a little details about the standard and the certification process, and then we'll have a surprise at the end of the presentation. Okay, CertiW is a company which is part of an of the W Group, which has headquarters around the headquarters in Sofia, but has local presence in many countries. And with time, it has become a leader in providing independent certifications of management systems, inspections, controls, and in the development of private standards or technical specifications, like in this case. In terms of organizations, this is more or less the organization of CertiW. The important aspect here is to see that we have representation of experts and auditors and different type of presences in different countries around the world. This means that this certification, the FAD certification, can have a presence not only in Italy, where we developed it, but can have also a presence in countries around the world. Given that the public here is represented by many places, probably we could have, people to represent you in your countries. Therefore, in terms of what CertiW can provide, there is a FAD Drive Global Scheme Manager, which is responsible for the global accreditation and certification process, and can assess that the operations and the policies which have to be implemented are effective and reflect the global scheme, the schema that has been developed, and we are going to be presenting here right now. But let's go into the details of what made this certification, why this standard was developed. We were in presence of what we realized, that there was a heterogeneous distance learning market, where, as we saw this morning and during the various discussions, standard is an issue. And there's been many talks about, what kind of standards. So we decided to approach this aspect of standards, and we questioned ourselves, you know, how can we guarantee the quality of a quality distance learning from the student point of view? So the issue here is, you know, we have to define the needs of a quality standard in distance learning. But the quality standard is using the technology as a mean to deliver the learning process. So technology is going to be a means to deliver. So by this point of view, we defined some objective standards and divided them into two, into content and container. Where the content is the didactics methodology, the material, and the format in which the content is going to be delivered. And the container is basically the technology involved. So all of the infrastructure which we use to deliver distance learning, not only in terms of forms of delivery, but also the methods of fruition, the tools that we use, and so on and so forth. Therefore, what happened? We defined a technical specification, where we defined the standards, which are the guidelines for those who want to deliver a quality distance learning methodology, which can be recognized at the international level, because as I said earlier, this is a standard which is recognized internationally. Okay? So this FADRI certification model, what is it? Well, the main point here is that we want to enhance human capital, meaning that what we must remember is that the central role in terms of distance learning is the student. So it has this central role in which everything revolves around him. So what we have to do is develop quality in terms of how we prepare the material we're going to deliver, how are we going to develop it, how are we going to deliver it, and how are we going to assess and monitor the learning process of the student. Okay? So everything revolves around the student. And of course, you know, it's a process in terms of preparing and delivering e-learning. So the important thing is to have the right people, the right tools to deliver the right content. Obviously, technology is an important aspect in terms of delivering e-learning, distance learning, pardon me. So there is also an emphasis on technology on every step of the process. So technology is taken obviously very seriously. So the minimum standards are described in the technical specifications. There's the minimal standards needed in each step of the process. The standard, the certification, obviously does not concentrate on the content which is being delivered, but on how are we going to deliver this content. Obviously the content is left to the professor and to those who have to fill in the content. So the value added is given to the form of delivering, a form of teaching, and it is emphasized by the kind of service which is being provided. The model in which the certification was built is based on what's this called the wheel of Deming. This kind of process approach, this is a process approach, it's perfectly integrated with most renowned quality management systems like ISO 9001-2008. Therefore, as I said, the objective is that this can allow organizations to manage its own activities in order to achieve its desired results. Finally, what are the key phases in this certification model we built? As I said earlier, the standard is built on a process approach. And if we think about distance learning, the process can be broken down into 4 phases. You've got the design phase, the production, the delivery, and the monitoring and the assessment. So therefore, in each of these phases, there are certain procedures. Okay? These procedures must be defined by each organization. So the technical specs goes into the details of each of these phases and makes sure that procedures are defined, that the correct personnel is dedicated to each of these phases, that in each phase outputs are registered, and there is an accountability of who is in charge of what, and you can see who has done what, who is responsible for each step of the process. Therefore, if we go into an example, when you go into a design phase, you might have a feasibility plan of the distance training intervention you want to proceed. Therefore, you must define your course structure and which are the didactics elements. So each of these steps is going to have its documentation needed, the people responsible for this step, the technology you're going to need to develop each of these steps. You're going to define a multimedia planning document. At that point, you're going to define who are the people who are going to build this multimedia pieces, the project plan, the multimedia script for the courseware, and so on and so forth. So you're going to have, in your design phase, every step is going to be well documented. You're going to have someone who's going to be responsible, so you're going to be able to have, anyone accountable for its phase. And then when you go into the production, also you're going to have, your learning objects prototypes, your verification storyboard, your courseware. In this phase, obviously you're going to have, in our model, it's a matrix of phases, because you can have different people working at different levels who are going to interface with each other. So at this point, you can also have a correct way of seeing who's doing what and who's delivering what at what time, and counter-check to make sure that the product you're going to deliver is going to be free of error, it's going to respect exactly what you planned at the beginning to guarantee a quality product. This is the point. The idea is to emphasize on the quality. So this kind of approach is also going to be applied to the delivery process, which also in this phase is going to look into the kind of technology you're going to use for delivering. Given that you want to concentrate on the objective is to emphasize the student also we took into consideration also the aspect that we talked about this morning, about the different technologies, the fact that you have to reach everybody, anywhere, meaning that, of course, you're going to have to take into consideration whether someone is in the office, or it's a mobile, or alone, depending on the kind of technology. So all of these aspects are obviously have already been taken in consideration in the design and the production phase, and obviously they have to work in the delivery phase. And at the end, the monitoring and assessment, which is, if you look at the wheel I showed you earlier, which is the check phase, under this, in this phase, you're going to have all the elements are going to tell you whether you deliver the right product, if you delivered it correctly, or if there are any other mistakes you made along the line, or any correction you have to make, which are going to be input to your system, which you're going to use and bring them back to your design phase in order to improve, once again, the product you delivered. So this is basically the design, the architecture of this model. So at the end, if you decide to go by and use this standard, you're going to be able to deliver a high-quality product. You're going to be able also to have a good cost analysis, because you're going to know how much it's going to cost you to deliver a product like this. And by the needs we figured, the needs that we studied and we took in consideration on how the standard was built, which is not technology-driven but human-driven, the idea is that you'll be able to reach everybody, anywhere, and you're going to be accessible using, in any context. And hopefully this will help us to break down the technological barrier and give access to everybody to proper distance learning. So why would you want to go to use this? Probably most of you already go by this kind of process, but why do you want to why would you like to certify yourself? Well, one of the reasons is that you can give evidence that you are using standards, that you're implementing standards in your organizations. Okay, standards usually give assure quality standards. Also, you can make sure that all of your processes inside of your organizations are being deployed, are being correctly deployed. And by doing this, you are giving your students a signal that the product you're delivering is being delivered with quality. With quality and with the right technology, okay? It will give you market visibility, and by this you can improve and and enhance your presence around the world. So, how does the certification process work? These are the 3 steps, basically. Got a certification cycle, okay? There are two stages of certification. I won't go into details of how they go, but usually it's a 3-year process with a recertification. And the assessment duration, once you are being inspected, it depends on the complexity of your organizations. The one thing that I didn't mention is that the certification process is a way to organize, to fix your organization, but not your entire organization, only the aspect that regards the e-learning process, okay? So it all depends on how complex your organization is, how many, I can't remember the term, but how many places you deliver you deliver e-learning. So if you've got more than one or two universities, you have to inspect all of them. So the assessment duration depends on the complexity of your organization. And at the end, if you go by, you get the certification. So this is the process. It's usually a 3-year process. For this, to get the certification, you have to have assessors which will come and do an inspection. And these are briefly, basically the requirements that we, ask for each assessor. And these are the ones that we make sure that, each assessor has in order to come and do the assessment for you. These are other characteristics and activities that assessors will do. You have a lead assessor with a team, with other team members, and these are the type of activities they're going to do during the certification process. And at the very end, this is the certification of registration. And this one, which you'll see here, is the first certification registration you see, which will be, this is the first one that has been issued, and it will be delivered after my presentation. And we will give a formal presentation of the certificate at the end of my presentation. This means that once you have your own certificate, you will be able to use the logo associated with the certification. And all the logo is granted to those organizations which have obviously completed the certification process. And there's some rules to use this logo, but it can be used together with the brand of the organization and the business name. I mean, these are, you must have seen with the ISO 9001 and 27001. They follow basically the same rules. This is it, and I would like to call Professor
Briganti.
Which we will give the first certification to Unimarconi, which has completed the inspection and the certification process. Congratulations.